Welcome back, guys. Today we are talking about preparedness versus panic. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so let's have this discussion on preparedness versus panic. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is over the last couple weeks, or a couple weeks back, I guess I should say, we had here in Ooltewah, Tennessee, a severe storm scare for snow and ice. In the moment those words were said, people instantly stopped everything they were doing and they panicked, and they went out and bought hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of food and supplies that within 3 days they were returning because they didn't actually need them. And really, they overbought, so other people couldn't get anything either, because that's what panic does. Panic makes you stop thinking logically and start thinking, I need everything for me and my family, when really you don't need a ton. Because to be perfectly honest, in Tennessee where I'm at, the longest I have been without power in the last 10 years was in 2020 when the tornadoes happened and I lost power for 2 weeks. That was it. And really, it wasn't even a full 2 weeks. I think it was like a week and a half. Other people lost power longer, and I understand there was a lot of destruction that happened, and I'm not discrediting anything or discrediting anything that happens in any other part of the country where y'all have massive damages or massive snowstorms. But where my mind went with this was how quickly people will panic the moment severe weather comes up or a natural disaster comes up or anything happens, and they'll panic buy all kinds of stuff that they're never going to use, and they end up throwing away and wasting. Talking about this, I want to get into what the CDC says actually you need to have in your home for a prepared situation. They actually recommend that you have 3 days worth of food and water per person per day. But they actually really truly recommend that you have 2 weeks worth of food and water per person per day, with a gallon of water for each person. So whenever you think I'm not going to drink a gallon of water in the day, no, you might not. But when you think about you don't have any water and you're needing to cook food like bowl water for oatmeal or soups or whatever, that will contribute to your gallon of water usage. But the CDC themselves recommend 2 weeks, would highly recommend 2 weeks of food and water in your home at any given time, just in case there's a disaster. Now, I want you to think for just a second, how much food do you actually have in your home? I'm not even talking about water. You can have some spare containers in your home, like the collapsible jugs or the water bricks that we sell here at the knife shop, that you can fill up when before the disaster happens, and you always have that water there. I'm just talking about food. How much food do you actually have in your house? Generally, most people don't have things stocked up. So the moment a disaster happens, they freak out and then they run to the store and they buy up a bunch of stuff that they don't need. So let me go back to the storm that happened, supposedly was going to happen here in Ooltewah, which we got absolutely nothing, just a little ice. And it was gone within a couple days. Actually, the day that I'm filming this, it's going to be 41 degrees. So this is what I did, and this is what I've always done. When I go to the store, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying go buy a bunch of stuff right offhand. But in the prepper mindset, in the preparedness mindset, 1 is none, 2 is 1. So when I go to the grocery store, like I went to the store yesterday, and I picked up spaghetti sauce and noodles, because we're gonna have spaghetti one day this week. Well, I didn't buy 1, I bought 2. I bought 2 jars of spaghetti sauce, and I bought 2 boxes of noodles, because I always want 1 on hand. The same goes for soup. The same goes for canned vegetables. Now, I don't buy a ton of frozen foods that way. I generally buy frozen foods for what I need for the week, and I might pick up a few extras if it's on sale, because if the power does go out and I potentially can't use my generator to keep my refrigerator or my freezer going, say something happens to it, then I don't want to lose a ton of food. So I always pick up extras of non-perishable items. So canned foods, they last a long time. So I'll pick up an extra can of green beans. If I'm buying 1, I'm buying 2. If you need 3 of them, then buy 1 or 2 extra to keep in your cabinet just in case. Then you rotate out your old stock and put your new stock behind it. So you're always using the stuff, but you're not actually always running out going, oh no, I'm out of green beans again. You always have it there. Then if a disaster happens, yes, you're gonna have to go to the store to buy some things. So like with us, we homeschool, but most people really would have just needed to go pick up lunch stuff for their kids because they were out of school those few days, or some snacks and things like that, not buying out the entire bread aisle. Maybe buy an extra loaf of bread because the kids are home from school. And if they eat school lunch a lot, then you know, you're not gonna have the sandwich stuff that would normally go out. So buy an extra loaf of bread, buy an extra gallon of milk because they're home. Buy an extra box or two of cereal. But don't go buy 15 because you're already prepared up for those things. Okay, so I wanna talk about long-term preparation. Now, whenever I'm talking about canned goods and I'm talking about stocking up and buying extra every time you go to the store, that is a long-term preparation. But this is stuff that you won't be using every day. That is your freeze-dried meals and your MREs. I always recommend that everyone has at least a bucket, is what we call it, full of freeze-dried meals. And a lot of times freeze-dried meals are 2 servings, and those are good portion servings. So you can actually divide it between 2 people. So at least a serving per meal per person in your household per day. So if you eat 3 times a day, you're gonna need, and you have 5 people in your house, well, you're gonna need 5 meals, or 15 meals a day, 5 meals per eating period. So you have to keep that in your mindset. But what I tell people is get the freeze-dried meals or get the MREs for long-term situations. Because say, like what happened to us back in 20 when we had the tornadoes happen, if I would have been without power for longer periods of time, I would have had to start getting into my freeze-dried meals. Or if I was trapped in the area that I was in for a long period of time because of down power lines, down trees, I can't get out. Like what happened in North Carolina a couple years back, that you would have the food and you would have resources there that won't go bad if they get rained on, won't go bad if they sit for long periods of time as long as they're stored properly. Look, one of the biggest things out there, and this is something, oh, I'm not a prepper, I don't want to be a prepper. Preppers are conspiracy theories, preppers are this, preppers are that. No, being prepared is making sure you and your family are safe if something bad happens down the road, and you're already set up so you don't have to get out in all the crazy, in all the mess to get food and resources for your family. Guys, here at the Knife Shop and Survival Outpost, we have freeze-dried meals, we have storage, we have water storage, we have water purification. We can get you set up for long-time preparedness and have the skills and the knowledge here to talk to you about how to get set up, and also your day-to-day preparedness of your canned foods and your day-to-day items that you want to buy extras of. So come into the shop, get with one of our specialists here, guys, and we will get you taken care of. Guys, get outside, have an adventure, and God bless.